Aces, welcome back to another massive episode of Only Sport with a huge guest, Ben Graham. The first Australian to go to an NFL Super Bowl. We dive into all of that. We talk about Tom Brady and how he cost him his career. He was the first bloke to be cut 3 times in a season and an unforgettable flop. Oh, you won't see this one coming. It's a great episode. That's enough from me. Let's dive in. We all love an impressive performance on the field. And now, thanks to our latest sponsor, Pilot, you can have an impressive performance in the bedroom too. Pilot provides Aussie men with the clinical tools to treat bedroom issues like erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation. Not a fan of the doctor's office? Pilot is all online, so you can sort it out right now over the phone, and with free delivery Australia-wide, you can be back on your game in no time. Head to pilot.com.au today and get started. Play hard until the final whistle with Pilot. Aces, I know I always talk about the RIXXs, but I got to offer you the discount again. In case you've forgotten or in case you're sleeping under a rock, we have a special discount code for everyone that listens to this podcast or watch the podcast. It's ACES. Head online to RIXXeyewear.com.au and use the discount code ACES and you'll get 20% off. That's right, 20% off, 1/5 at checkout and free express shipping. So head online, RIXXeyewear.com.au and check it out. All right, do we have a big show for you today? Let's get stuck into it. Righto, we've got the king in the building, the BG, the big fella, the king of NFL as well, the face of Australian, American sport would be you. And anything that NFL, whether it's flag football, American football, TV, Super Bowl, you'll see your face. It's great to have you in the studio, mate. I know we've upgraded. You were my first podcast ever online. We went from Zoom to the van to the Roland Media studio. So it's great to have you back in, big fella.
Tommy, well, thanks for having me. Yes, we've come a long way, haven't we, from COVID online to the van in that car park at Glenferrie Oval. And then, of course, in between times, you've been hosting NFL Armchair Experts, filling in for Cam Luke. You did a great job too, by the way. Great
mate, if it wasn't for you, I would have been in a lot of trouble. I think I forgot to introduce myself. I was trying to work out the stings off the commercials, but mate, it was great. That was a good one to do with you, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. So shout out to Seven for the opportunity. But today, mate, it's all about Only Sport, our new show with all our NFL, fantasy football league friends, and they've all come through as guests, and it's been good. I think this is episode 5 now, and we've had some interesting conversations. We obviously big shout out to our sponsor Pilot, who has our main segment coming up, the unforgettable flops. No doubt you would have had a few in different sports, so looking forward to no, not unforgettable flops, Benny, not at home. I mean on the sporting field, but. Mate, let's start off with, as a young fella, what drew you to sport? Like, who was it that said, was it mum and dad, or what was it? Was it school? And what sports were they?
Well, naturally, growing up in Geelong, down the Ballerine Peninsula, there was a fair bit of sport going on, but I was born into a sporting family. My grandfather, Jack, played over 200 games for South Melbourne. My uncle, Rick, played for Geelong. Dad played a lot of country footy. Mum was a champion netballer back in the day. So my brother's only 21 months younger than I am, so we were always into something. We were blessed, I guess, to be given the opportunity to play whatever sport that we wanted to try a hand at. So we did anything from gymnastics to basketball to cricket to football, but it was probably athletics was the one that was my first love. I just loved to run. I was pretty quick as a kid, and Mum used to tell me a story about when I was in grade 1, school sports. You run around the oval. The oval's like a cow paddock. But I fell over in about the first 10 metres, and of course she would have gasped and like, I hope he gets up. Well, apparently I got up and I ran and ended up winning the race. But I didn't know really until I was in primary school when I was doing athletics for, Geelong Little Athletics Club for Leopold, and had some good results as a junior. So I actually thought growing up that I would be an athlete. I was looking at Carl Lewis and Gary Honey at the Olympics, and, I had some speed. We won the gold medal in the Pan Pacific Games in the 4x100. I think I came last in the final in the 100, but it's still 8th fastest kid in that age, I guess. So, but I sort of then tried my hand at basketball and athletics, and then footy was probably the one, though, that I knew I would end up playing, but it was my dad that held me back because he'd seen so many kids come into footy. Dad was a local footballer. He was president, coach of local teams. He'd seen so many kids come in at a really young age and be burnt out by the time they're 17 and 18, and they'd lose that transition into senior footy. So I actually took a year off and played tennis. So I went on the BP Cup and was in the McDonald's squad. And
you've done it all.
So then I thought I was going to be a tennis player. But it was footy. So I missed the year from under 15s to under 18s that first year because I was a late developer. Tommy, I didn't go through puberty until I was about 16 and a half, 17.
Late bloomer.
Real late bloomer.
And a big boy, so you must have went bang.
I wasn't.
Like, no, but back in the days, I'm saying you must have had a big growth spurt.
I did, yeah. All people from year 12 to the reunion the next year wondered what had happened. I'd grown about a foot. I thought, what's going on down there at Geelong? No, but it was probably all of that. Try whatever you want. See what you're good at, what you have fun with. But it was footy. My first, under 18 year, we won the flag. We went back to back the year after, and I got drafted at a time when there was 52 on the roster, and they could have development players. I was drafted sort of late. That doesn't really happen now with the list so small. But I guess I was lucky to be given the opportunity to play many sports.
That's great. So yeah, you're the opposite of being burnt out. Do you think you had a chance at any other sports, or was it pretty obvious that footy was your number one? Like, did the old man say, mate, you're very good at football, I would stick to this one over tennis and all those other things you mentioned?
No, well, athletics was my first real love, I guess. But, when you get to a certain age, when the kids are going through puberty earlier, they're bigger and stronger.
Oh, yeah. Do
you remember that?
Oh, mate, I remember going, because I was a bit like you, you don't even have pubes and you're lining up against these blokes that got armpit hair.
Right.
And you're looking at them and you're already intimidated. You're going, this bloke's got, not only is he muscle, but he's got the armpit hairs dangling down, and you're going, mate, I've only got a couple of pubes.
Yeah.
You're thinking this bloke's going to, but then sometimes you can beat these blokes. And I remember even in basketball, you come up against them and go, oh, geez, these blokes are pretty big and pretty powerful, but they're just gone through puberty a bit earlier. Same with footy as well.
But I always say to the kids that are late developers, one day you're going to be bigger, taller and stronger. It's an advantage to go through puberty later in life. And the talent pathway in the AFL very much identifies that for kids that are born in the back half of the year and maybe go through puberty a little bit later. But I sort of, I felt like I was a good little athlete. Won Geelong Athlete of the Year in 1984.
There you go.
So I was sort of on my way.
You must have been quick. I didn't think you would be quick. You must be.
Yeah, but then, basketball, it was sort of the hobby sport.
Yeah.
But still played a bit of rep basketball. The tennis was probably just a gap year from footy. So I was probably always going to be footy. I hated cricket, living down near the beach. Used to love waving to them on the way down to the beach every
Well, I reckon
Saturday.
your parents would have loved that decision, because I look back and loved me cricket, loved hanging out with probably the teammates. But there's days where I'd go out for a duck or you'd bowl horrific, and you're driving, your old man's taking a day off he's probably got 2 weeks off, and he's taking you down a Bendigo and it's 35 degrees and you're sitting in the field, and you think as a parent, it's a commitment and a half. And to make cricket, you know how hard it is to get it. It's
no,
not
no
like
judgment to those that love cricket.
Yeah.
And I supported Jack, my son, who played cricket for Xavier for a number of seasons, but I wasn't mad when he gave it up. but then it was footy. And I just loved the football environment. My mum was president of the ladies committee playing netball. Dad was coach and president. So we basically, it was our second home. My brother and I, we lived there essentially. So to play, a couple of flags, mates. But I never got to play a senior game for Leopold because I was drafted in 91. So it was probably, I had a few opportunities. It was probably footy. But I didn't really appreciate the lineage that my grandfather was we just got the bio for his Hall of Fame for South Melbourne. And you sort of don't appreciate what a fantastic career he had. So I guess part of it's in the blood, part of it's natural. But it's a lot of hard work, as you know.
Yeah, there is a lot of hard work. Let's talk about that. What were some of the sacrifices you reckon you made as a young fella that you could share with people today? Is there anything that you kind of gave up going through the ranks, or, what was
No, not really. Probably Mum gave up most of the sacrifice, carting us around town for athletics, to basketball, to whatever it was. I was probably lucky that things came sort of naturally. The biggest sacrifice I probably made was when I got drafted and I couldn't go to O Week for Deakin when I was a student.
What's O Week? I don't.
Oh, it's orientation week. So it's a week of parties and
gotcha.
Fun. So I didn't live. So while I was playing football and trying to get a degree at the same time, I had to give up that uni life, the fun,
the social life
of all that, because I was become a professional athlete. Well, at that stage, it really wasn't too professional, but it was getting there.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and that makes sense. Yeah, it's like most people giving up parties and whatnot. You've given up the social scene at uni. You're ahead of your time, I reckon. Not many blokes would have gave up the orientation week back then. They would have had a little bit of a dabble, I reckon.
Well, it was tough because everyone from school going to uni, Deakin particularly, you wanted to get there and see your mates, but then when you're drafted and it's like, well, hang on, this is an opportunity I need to invest in wholly and solely. I paused uni for a while to focus on my footy, because it was at that stage when it was becoming more and more professional. It went from evening trainings, because they all had jobs, to day training pretty much every day. So something had to give, and that was uni. But that was okay, because you've got a new life and new friends and a new social experience when it comes to playing footy.
Well said. Let's talk about without sport, right? So if you didn't go on to be this superstar, and I'll get you to run on your I want you to tell everyone your stats quickly in a moment, AFL and NFL, just so we can get a quick glimpse. But if you don't know, Google it. But Benny, if you didn't have sport, what do you reckon you'd be doing? If you didn't play AFL and didn't play NFL, what do you think? Like, where do you think you'd be today, and what do you think you would have been doing as a young fella?
Well, I would have still been playing sport. I think I never forget the day I was driving home from uni and the draft was on, and I heard my name read out on the radio. But when it got to the third pick, I thought, if my name's not read out here, like, I may never play AFL again. So then the rest of my life flashed in front of my eyes, and that was okay. That was playing local footy for Leopold. It was going to uni. It was getting a degree. It was running a business. It was, I had a majoring in marketing and management. So that would have been okay. But I've used that with what I do now. Run some businesses. We own some businesses. But that's okay. I would have still played sport though. I would have still played at an amateur level and enjoyed everything that community sport has to offer. Love it. Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go. It wouldn't have been like Dion Prestia down at the fruit and wholesale market at Footscray. He reckons that's where he was going with the old boy if he didn't go top 10. But everyone's got a story, right?
No, and that's why we ask it. It's a great question. I don't know what I would have done if I wasn't playing footy. It's just it's a good question, because everyone's got a different walk of life. And
see, I might have coached, and that's why I love coaching under 16s, football and basketball. Just giving back, feeling like you got something to offer. And part of that is because of the experiences that I've been through, and you think you can impart some of your wisdom and knowledge on young men.
Yeah, well, you've done it all. How many games AFL?
219.
And NFL? Or was it more seasons? We'll go seasons.
8.
And how many? 4 clubs?
4, yeah. 3 in 1 year, Tommy.
There you go. So, and that's something. Being, moving clubs, family, your story. If you haven't checked it out, Tommy Talks episode 1 with Ben Graham. Listen to that. It's a cracker. I won't, not that we'll bore you, but we've got a lot of other questions to ask. over that time, you just said 3 clubs, NFL, over in the States in 1 year. I'd imagine this leads into the next question, maybe not, but what have been some of the biggest challenges you've had in your career and how have you overcome them?
Well, no doubt the biggest challenge in my sporting career has been the transition from AFL to NFL. Not just the sport and learning a new craft. Yes, it's kicking a football, but it's quite different to just picking up a ball and kicking it like in the AFL. It was about moving to America and the visa situation and the medical and having the family come over and, nothing was guaranteed until the season started. So there's a big risk that we took, but we wanted to give it our best and we did it together and, my family are a huge part of the reason why we spent so much time over there because there were some scary moments. You pulled up at customs because you got a contract, but you're not on a sporting visa. So what are you doing here? And then, my daughter got bitten by a spider, but you take them to the hospital, but you haven't got medical because you haven't got a contract because the season hasn't started.
Wow.
So it's some scary challenges that we faced as a family, but that's what makes the journey so special, knowing that we've been through that. During my NFL career, there certainly was some on-field challenges because there's only 32 jobs in the world. So to get one is really difficult, but to keep it is even harder because there are thousands of people there every day trying to take your job. So the challenge of punting a football might not sound like a challenge to some, but when the pressure is on you every single time you pick up a football, even at practice, knowing that you can lose your job after a bad practice. And I saw it firsthand in 2008 when I was embarking on my 4th NFL season, started with the Jets again for my 4th year, thought I was going to play for the Jets for the rest of my life, at least 14 years like I did at Geelong. And then week 2, I had a bad game against the Patriots, gave Tom Brady good field position. He scored 4 touchdowns on the back of it. I got cut on the Monday.
That's crazy.
Got picked up on the next, like the Thursday, because the punter that replaced me pulled a hamstring. And the Jets were playing in San Diego, and I was with Darren Bennett, spending some time with him, and they re-signed me, right? So I gone to the hotel, and the guys just thought I went back to Australia for the week. That's why the other punter was there. So I was back. So I was back in the fold. We won the game, played well, all good. 2 weeks later, I got cut again because the guy that pulled his hamstring was right to go again, and he was a cheaper option. So that was a real, like, my goodness, my career's over. I'm done. Cried in the car park, in the car. What am I going to do? Tell the family? Moving back to Australia. But then I got picked up by the Saints and played in London at Wembley, which was awesome, and then got back to New Orleans and Sean Payton called the kicker and I in at the same time and said, look, boys, we're going to release you. We're going in a different direction. I found out later the only reason they signed me is because I had a passport and they were going to London because they cut the guy the week before after the game and they hadn't got their shit together to –
and you're the only one who could get in the country. That's unbelievable.
Right. And then a month later I found myself at the Cardinals, who were on the way to the Super Bowl. So I was only the 3rd player in NFL history to play for 3 teams in 1 year. So it's sort of crazy to come from an environment where a contract is a contract. You sign for Geelong for 5 years, you play Geelong 5 years. But over there it's just if you don't perform, you are –
that is, I mean, I know you've told me that before, but you kind of reminded me again. That is crazy. And, it kind of leads into, like, how did you overcome it? Like what, obviously there's ways of overcoming it, which is just kind of sticking at it, the cliches, but like, and it almost a fairy tale, but I know Arizona's probably.
Oh no, it was a fairy tale.
Yeah. Well, it was.
I don't care about the result, and I'm honest and open about this. Like when I tell that full story of that year, I started the year on Sesame Street, ringing the Wall Street bell.
Pin-up boy.
The Wiggles were coming out doing their encore in my Jets jersey. Like it doesn't get much bigger when you live in New York, and that's not. I didn't want that. That's just what it was like. But then you get cut by the Jets twice, by the Saints, and then you get picked up by the Cardinals late in the season, and you end up playing in a Super Bowl. Like there's like the challenges and the adversity and the ups and downs of that year on and off the field, I still pinch myself that I even got through it. I can give a shit whether we won the Super Bowl or not. Like, I'm honoured to be the first Australian to play in a Super Bowl, and hopefully soon we'll see an Australian win a Super Bowl. But it's more about the journey of that year and what we went through as a family. Their support was amazing because, there are times when, we're living over there without a contract, so we haven't got a visa, so we're almost living illegally. So you're afraid to leave the country just in case they don't let you back in. So there's all that sort of thing, but I wouldn't change anything for the world. It was a great ride, and I was lucky enough to play in the league for another 4 years after that.
It is crazy. When you go home, what was it like telling the fam, especially the Dale, that you've been cut? Hey, I'm back. I'm cut. I'm back. I'm cut. I'm back. Hey, we're now going to Arizona. Like, do you remember those conversations?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what was it like? Like,
Well, as I said, I had their full support. The kids were only really young. At that point, Jack, my son, was born in New York in 2007. So we're talking, this is 2008. So he's a baby. The girls are only, 9 and 7
do they
years
remember
old.
this a little bit?
Yeah, of course they do.
Yep.
They're at primary school. But because it happened, like, we'd known, because I was at the Jets for 3.5 years, a lot of what I went through, our friends and past teammates had also been through it.
Yeah.
So they sort of were ready for it almost. At some point it was going to happen to us. But because we live so far away, it's okay. If you're playing for the Jets but you go back to Philadelphia to live, like, it's a long way to go back to Australia and then get a call to say, hey, can you come for a workout? So we wanted to see the year through, because what happens when you're in between jobs, all the other teams are like, hang on a minute, why isn't he got a job? We'll work him out. We'll put him on our depth chart. So if something happens to our punter, we know who we're going to sign. So I worked out at about 8 teams, and it's like, why'd you get cut? It's like, not sure. I had a bad game. Everything, nothing else going on. It's like, no, let me show you. I'll show you what I can do. And you have some good workouts and some bad workouts. I was lucky enough I had a good workout for the Cardinals. The Cardinals at that point were on their way to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. They're a good team, Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, and they're a high-scoring offense. All they needed was a punter to pin the opposition deep when they stalled midfield, and the drop punt was my one wood. That was my go-to. And I blew them away by my workout and how many balls I could just drop wherever I wanted on the 1 or 2 yard line. And that's what won me the job. And it had an influence throughout the playoffs. Even in the Super Bowl, we pinned them to the 2 yard line, which caused a safety. We get the ball back. We score to take the lead. So I feel like I had influence there, and then equaled the NFL record the year after that for inside 20s because the coaches loved it, trusted it. Sometimes as a punter, your stats are affected when you're punting behind a good offense because you're always punting short distances rather than bad offenses when you're backed up trying to kick torpedoes to flip the field.
Yeah, I get that.
But anyway, we digress.
No, that's good. I loved it. This is fantastic. Just on the Super Bowl, let's just stay there. What highlights from it? You just said you pinned them deep back. Like, do you remember it vividly? Like, how many times have you watched it? Let's talk about it. The moment. When did you come on? When was your first kick? What was going through your head? Because my next question is high stakes and how do you handle pressure? And if anyone out there listening right now, it doesn't get any bigger. It's one of the most watched events in the world, probably outside of your soccer and all that. You're coming on and the guys running at you, they're monsters. So you need to get the ball. As you said, it's not that easy. There's a technique involved and you need to execute. And also, obviously, you just spoke about job security. How do you handle them high pressure stakes and what were you doing, thinking about, but also talk us through the Super Bowl?
Well, so firstly, coming from an AFL background, when you run out to the ground and you look around, there's some nerves set in and it might be a shot at goal that really, that's the thing that can mentally affect you, gets into your head that what if I miss, what if I miss? But once the game starts, it's 120 rolling minutes. As a punter in the NFL, you're on the sideline and you are waiting for your moment. So it's like every punt is like a shot at goal or a penalty kick in soccer. So if you're a soccer player and you're just playing, you've got the rhythm of the game, but if you've got to stop, that's why I love penalty shootouts, because that is the epitome of pressure, especially in a World Cup final. But you guess you learn to deal with pressure through your experience, especially in the NFL, because you've got pressure on you every time you train. So when you play, it is immense pressure. But I'm lucky to have an AFL background where you sort of learn naturally how to deal with those pressures and trust your own ability and turn the negative thoughts into positive thoughts and ultimately just accept whatever happens. You can't blame anybody. If it's a bad snap or the weather's poor or, it's just you just have to live with it. But the Super Bowl, I was hurt coming into that game. I actually hurt my groin 2 weeks ago in the NFC Championship game. But I was never in doubt to play, but that was always playing on my mind. And I punted okay in the Super Bowl, but it was that one punt that sort of, I'd like to think, changed the momentum of the game. It really got us back into it. Because special teams sometimes is underrated, largely underrated in the NFL. It's why I love talking about it on TV and on radio, because it's a third of the game. It's a phase of the game that can change the momentum. But it led to that lead change when Larry Fitzgerald scored that touchdown. So minute 37 to go in the Super Bowl, we were winning. So we're on the sideline just saying, how good's this? We're about to win a Super Bowl. After being called the worst team in playoff history after a 9-7 record going in. But ultimately, Santonio Holmes' catch in the back of the end zone, which they still say was a catch, not sure. But again, it doesn't worry me. It really doesn't. It's all about the journey that we went through that year and the experience in the States.
Yeah, it's well said, mate. It's do you just remember getting that pigskin and now that you're not playing anymore, but do you miss grabbing the pigskin and just launching it behind a wall?
Well, I still do kick with my son, and I've got a couple of friends that have got aspiring young punters that I'd like to spend some time with. Plus, coaching, under 16s last year, under 18s this year. I still like to kick. The boys will egg me on and say, "Go on, Roos one." I've got to be very protective that I don't rip a hamstring or something. But I still quite flexible. Still got power. But I'm 50, so what do you expect?
Oh, that's brilliant. No, I love it, mate. Thanks for sharing that one. It's a cracker. Any advice for young kids and young men out there going through sport in general, from all of your experiences? What would some of your greatest advice be, especially being a coach?
Well, what's something that no one's heard before?
Nah, well, just the BG
I'm
edition.
not going to roll off the cliches, Tommy. But, nothing beats hard work. You know that, right?
I'm not going to roll off the cliches. No, you're right. Everything, if it was easy, we'd all be doing it. That's a cliche.
Who's made it without putting in
Is that the
hard
first
yards?
thing you'd say to young kids?
I had a meeting this morning with a couple of professional athletes about the 1,000-hour rule, and they've never heard of it before. Now, it's not a thing. No one counts the hours, but it is a thing. Some are naturally gifted. Some need to really work at it. But for junior sport, the motto is really to have fun. Enjoy what you're doing. It's like anything in life. If you were doing a job that you absolutely hated, you'd probably not last very long, would you?
No. So you're saying fun to a certain extent, and then what age is it hard work, the message?
Well, when you become professional.
Yeah.
And the lead into that transition. In my experience and through my journey, especially when I first moved to America, a lot of people said, I want to follow in his footsteps. What do I need to do? And at that point of your journey, my advice was just get as much out of your chosen career as you can before you give it all away and embark on a journey with no guarantees. And because there are no guarantees. A lot of people have tried their hand at it. And look, there's a lot of successful – we're not just talking sport here, we're talking business. Too, a lot of Australians have plied their trade in whatever they do overseas, and it takes hard work and commitment and trust in your own ability and build strong relationships, and it's few cliches in there.
Yeah, it's good though. No, it's good. Well, it's good even if you keep repeating the same thing. It's that's what people want to listen to. There's no magic word. There's no magic word or magic thing. It's hard work, like you said, and commitment. And
spot on, Tommy. There is no magic pill.
And speaking of magic pills, if you need some help in the bedroom, let's go to halftime with Pilot, BG. Our friends at Pilot, I'll tell you what, if you need some magic pills, fellas, these are the guys you hit up. You want to play to the final whistle, well, you play hard with Pilot. A big shout out to our friends at Pilot. If you need some help in the bedroom or you just need some help, don't worry about going to the doctors, BG. If you need some help, get your phone out, bang, pilot.com.au, and you hit them up. It's all discreet, confidential, and you'll get what you need over the internet. Free express shipping and a discount code with ACES20 for a one-time use. Now, BG, our Pilot unforgettable flops. The time that you've flopped on the field, off the field. I said we've had some crackers so far. There've been some really cool flops. What would your Pilot flop be?
Well, no career is perfect, is it?
I can give you 1,000 flops.
Well, given that NFL's a bit of a theme, we'll leave it there. We'll keep it in the NFL.
Yeah, keep it in the NFL because I think no one else can keep it in the NFL.
So when I went over there, my AFL career sort of followed me. Like people sort of were aware that I was played this strange game that they used to watch on ESPN and late night in the 80s, and so they knew that I was more athletic than just to be a punter, because the punter and the kicker over there are they're specialists for a reason. So to help have my teammates embrace me, I was doing things that they were doing that punters don't normally do. Lift weights with them, run their routes with them, want to be on scout defense, and I was doing things well because I wanted to learn. To the point where the coaches, I was in a Hail Mary play on offense, but also on defense to defend the Hail Mary. So we were practicing that ready for the game. So I'd be on the sideline waiting for that moment. But what I really wanted was, I saw the other punters around the league with the ability to throw the ball or run fakes. I wanted to run a fake. And so we practiced this fake, because in the NFL, if you can't execute a play in practice, they won't implement it in the game plan. Right, so I kept this fake was awesome, right? It was almost like a run pass option, but it was a kick run option. So where I'd get it, and if there was nothing there, I'd kick it. If there was a seam that opened up, I would run for the first down.
Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to throw it.
Yeah,
because I didn't have a grade.
Okay. Yeah, I love where you're going with this.
Yeah. So practiced it in training camp. It got implemented in the game plan. The week leading up, we practiced it at training, and it was implemented in the game plan for that week. So we're at Meadowlands, playing for the Jets, all set. The defense on the special teams had shown this weakness, so I thought, this is it. I'm going to go for it. So I got the ball, and I looked up, huge gap between their edge and the gunner, and I tucked it and I ran it. And then I saw the first down and my eyes lit up, and just as I was about to I was going to get a first down, the hole collapsed. Their defenders came from everywhere, and I was going to get hammered and I wasn't going to get a first down. I shit myself and I kicked it. I put it on my boot, and it was an ugly line drive kick that went about 30 metres. Next thing, the flags are up, because not only I was past the line of scrimmage, which is you can't kick the ball after the line of scrimmage, just like when a quarterback throws the ball after a line of scrimmage. And I went on the sideline and I was so embarrassed because they thought I was this superhuman athlete from Australia that could do absolutely everything on special teams, offense and defense, yet this play, I got it completely wrong. That's been probably the most embarrassing and biggest flop in my career.
There you go. The pilot flop from BG at the Jets, running a fake and then shooting himself and kicking the ball. That's outstanding. I look forward to. What year was that so we can chase the footage up?
No, you'll find it.
We'll find it. There you go. It's all over YouTube. Well, we're all over YouTube for some flops. I'll give you the tip. There you go. Well, that's half time. Thank you, BG. Love it. Now it's time to get off the field. What is it? What sports do you love? You know, and if you're at home, you've got the 3 days off, like you probably do over the next break or, Christmas break that you've just had because it's 2024 now. What are the sports that you just put the feet up and love watching the most?
Well, yeah, the important word in that question is most, because I love all sports at the elite level. I could watch anything. Like I might not watch baseball throughout the season, but I'll watch the World Series.
Yeah,
I won't watch basketball, not a big basketball guy, but I'll watch the playoffs. I could watch 10-pin bowling world championships, sailing. I don't care what it is. That's why I love the Olympics. I love anything World Cup soccer, any
high
major
stakes
golf tournament, tennis tournament. Love it all because I think I appreciate the talent and the work ethic to get to where they are, knowing how many people
well said.
are trying to get where they are. That's why, and I'll stay around and watch their celebrations too, because it's so meaningful that what they've been through to achieve that moment. The sports I love the most though is obviously the AFL and the NFL. Now so I grew up wanting to be an AFL player. The NFL didn't really come online until Darren Bennett beat me in a long kick competition in the AFL in 1992. I won it the next year. And then at that point, the fire was lit that maybe I'll follow in his footsteps when my AFL career was done. But I can't believe how much I've fallen in love with the NFL. As a business, as a sport, as a player, as a commentator, it's just and it's not perfect. And I understand and appreciate why people can't warm to it, even sports fans. I hear it all the time, 2-stop start, don't know the rules. That's fine. That's fine. Chess is a great game, but people don't like it because they don't understand the rules. They don't understand the strategy. I say just find a way to get involved in the NFL, whether it be follow a team from your favourite city in the States or follow a team because you've heard of a certain player that you want to keep your eye on, or sign up to a fantasy team where you have got no choice but to follow the players in your team and you'll fall in love with it. It's the way I fall in love with the English Premier League through fantasy, but the NFL would be my most favourite sport.
I love it. And why though? Like, what's the one thing NFL gives you more than all the other sports?
It's played in a country of over 230 million people. So you know that has to be a successful the business side of the sport. They're owned franchises, whereas in the AFL they're effectively owned by the members. So they're like businesses. They're run by like businesses, and really anyone can play it. You don't have to be to play the AFL. You've got to be fit, strong, skillful.
Smart.
The way to explain it is, if there's 6 disciplines in the AFL, you've got to be between a 6 and a 9 in all of them. Where in the NFL, you've only got to be a 10 at one thing. And it's the best of the best of the best. So I think that the AFL is too saturated. The talent levels, by the time you get to 30 on the list in every AFL club, I don't think they deserve an AFL spot because I don't think they've got what it takes to be an elite AFL player. In the NFL, you've got 1% of high school footballers go on to play college and 3% of high school footballers go on to play college, 1% of college footballers go on to have an NFL career. So it's the best of the best of the best. Then that's what makes it so elite. That's I hope that answers your question.
It's well said. I agree. Oh, mate, if you're asking me, I'd say this whatever he said because I love it. And it's pretty much they're Olympic athletes. They're dead. You know, as I said, offensive line, defensive line. They're the strongest in their country at what they do. They're agile. They're phenomenal. I love them. Well said. Back to sport. What's the most memorable moment you've got watching? So just a moment where you watched and went, wow, you could almost cry. I'm that happy. And then your most memorable moment in your career. Just one.
Okay, firstly, as a spectator?
Yep, spectator's number one.
Well, playing professional sport for the best part of 22 years, you don't really get to a lot of sport. But I do enjoy it. I like going to the Australian Open. I like going to the grand final last year to see Geelong beat the Swans. But if we kept the NFL theme or the American theme, having the privilege to go to each Super Bowl to watch the two best teams in the NFL play off in the pinnacle is a great experience, and to have a role in bringing that to Australian sports fans is pretty cool. But I think the most wow sporting moment I've been as a spectator was in Michigan. Went to a college game when I was playing for Detroit, and it was Michigan versus Ohio State. Huge rivalry. It was in the big house, they call it, in Michigan. Why that was a wow moment is because you've got this huge stadium with no alcohol, and it is the most passionate group of fans you've ever seen. More passionate than the NFL, far more passionate than the AFL. Like the AFL are passionate, but this was the hard sell to Americans. I'd try and sell them the game, and they'd say, "Why is your stadium half full?" You go to a college game, there was 112,131 people in that stadium, all in sync, all Michigan fans. No, they might have had a few in the tailgate.
Yeah. Or snuck it in.
But that was the moment where it was like, wow. People talk about college football and what a great experience it is. That was probably my greatest sporting event that I've been to as a spectator.
Love it. Yeah, well, I think you're on the money with college. What about playing? Is it the Super Bowl? Is it a grand final? What is it?
Yeah, well, it's definitely the Super Bowl for obvious reasons. But my first game was very memorable because of the journey and the challenges that we'd faced in that transition with no guarantees. It was on September 11. It was a really emotional time. I'm not a big crier, but I did shed a tear when the planes went over for the game.
The Jets.
And just with the American national anthem. It just was – that was super memorable. Playoff wins are always memorable. Winning the NFC Championship game in Arizona in front of your home fans, knowing that we're going to the Super Bowl was super special. That was probably my most memorable moment as a player, winning that game. The Super Bowl was special but that was the moment in Phoenix, in front of the fans, with your teammates, with your family on the field, with the confetti, kids doing snow angels. Yeah, that was probably the highlight.
Yeah, that's special. Can visualise it. Now, thanks for that as well, mate. I could talk to you about NFL. We're going to get back to only sport, right? Because it's not only NFL, but it should be. I love it. Right now, there's a few more questions here, but if you could be anyone in the world for a week and just be in their body and their lifestyle, just to experience something else, just for 1 week only, who would the athlete be and why?
You talking about now or
now,
in
right
my
now.
upbringing?
You click your fingers and you get to just jump into their skin, their body, their mind for a week. Who would it be?
And we're staying away from NFL?
No, you can go anywhere with this. You want to be an NFL quarterback? You want to be a basketballer? You want to be an actor? You want to be anything? Who would you be?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
We'll stick with sport. I've always had a man crush on Tom Brady, but he's since retired. Patrick Mahomes is my favourite player in the NFL. So if it was an NFL player, I wouldn't mind me Patrick Mahomes for a while. Travis Kelce's probably in the argument.
Yeah, he would be actually. Now he would be.
I met Travis last year.
Yeah,
great guy.
looks like a legend.
Yeah, fun guy, good guy. Sorry for dropping names there, but we
Drop. I don't know why people have an issue with name dropping. I think it's the best. It's what everyone wants to hear anyway.
Eric Haaland.
Don't know him. Oh, sorry, the soccer player. I was thinking NFL. Sorry. Cut that. No, leave it in. I look like an idiot, but I know. I was thinking NFL.
Imagine being that good.
Yeah, I know. I've seen videos of him walking the streets and he doesn't care. He's just like, hey, going
just
coffee.
Just a normal dude.
Yeah, tries to be normal.
Looks like he lives in Janjak.
Yeah.
Just
he is special, isn't he? Like a
special.
unicorn. The way he walks around, like he is very marketable. I mean, you're in business, sports marketing, but you're in marketing. He would be your pin-up boy.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a couple of options. What about the GOAT? Couple more to go. Who would be the GOAT in your eyes? There's a few that get thrown around. Just recently, we had Novak Djokovic was the GOAT in Dion Prestier's eyes. There's only one GOAT, though, in this question. Who is the GOAT?
Michael Jordan.
MJ. So MJ's the top. Any reason why? You can't, like, like LeBron, Tom Brady, Novak.
So I get Novak is the GOAT, but he's only just taken over Roger Federer, who was the GOAT. Like Michael Jordan was the original GOAT. Now Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Well, you can only have one GOAT.
Yeah, but okay. Can you?
Yeah, well, on this question, yeah.
Okay, Michael Jordan.
All right, well, let's just roll into the next question then, because this is my favourite segment. This is if you get a pair of RIXX here, BG, you come on here and you get a pair of RIXXs like you always do. I've got you the Tribeca champagnes. So they're for you. So I want you to whack these on. This is the RIXX lunch, okay? And there's going to be a couple of people that come with you. So whack them on.
What do we got?
This is called the RIXX lunch. It's a hypothetical. But when you go to lunch and you whack the RIXX on, you go, g'day, boys. You got 3 people at lunch, and all you got to do is rock up to lunch and have lunch with 2 of them. But you got to tell one of them to go home. These are the 3 people standing in front of you. You got David Beckham, Michael Jordan, and Tom Brady. You get to have a 2-hour lunch, talk shit, all unfiltered. You know, you're going for it. No, there's no cameras, just you boys together. But you got to send one home. Who are you looking in the eyes and taking home? Maybe tell me who you're keeping. So it's more.
Well, I'll start with Michael Jordan. I'm going to keep Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you have to. He's the GOAT. I kind of know where you're going to go with the next one.
Right. So this is who I'm keeping. I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I would like. It's a tough one actually.
And you're thinking it's lunch, it's beers, so there's a dynamic there.
Well, see, it's tough because I've met David Beckham and I've met Tom Brady.
Have you met Bex?
I've had lunch with him already.
There you go.
He came out for Manchester United. We had a Ford thing at the MCG. It was lunch. It was, but it wasn't like this is a different kind of lunch though, right?
Yeah, lads' lunch.
Well, I have just finished the documentary on Bex, and when a documentary is done so well like that, you do whatever you thought of them before. You got a newfound appreciation for who they are and what they've gone through and how good they were. So the second person that I would keep at lunch would be David Beckham.
There you go. See, what are you saying to? Well, I agree with you, by the way. That doco, it makes you just want to you love him even more. You didn't realize how hard he had it. What are you saying to Tom? Because Tom's standing in front of you. You're sorry, big fella.
Well, so I was lucky enough as captain of the Jets to shake his hand twice a year at the coin toss. And a kicker that I played with, Jay Feely, was best man in his wedding. So I sort of got to know him a little bit. But I don't actually like as much as
a kicker was best man at his wedding. That's outright. That's outstanding.
Michigan boys.
Oh, gotcha.
But he cost me my job at the New York Jets because he capitalised my 4 shank punts. So if it wasn't for him. If we were playing some raggedy-ass quarterback that couldn't capitalise on that good field position, I still might be a punter in the NFL. So I wouldn't want to spend any more time with Tom. Sorry, Tom.
It's very well said. Just on that, when you shook Tom Brady's hand, is it a firm, manly shake? Like, what was his handshake like?
unabated man crush on Tom Brady. You got to remember, I played against him from 2005 to 2012, and then watched his success post then. I mean, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. But yeah, no, strong handshake. But I never asked for his jersey though.
I wish you did.
No, because so Vince Young was a quarterback for Texas, and he was my favourite college player. And you know what happens sometimes is you get voted captain because you're the quarterback. So he was captain, he was rookie. I shook his hand, tossed the coin, and said, "Hey Vince, after the game, can we swap jerseys?" No. Oh. So I then knew it wasn't an NFL thing.
Yeah.
I was trying to collect them, you know.
Oh,
favourite college player. So if Vince Young said no, I definitely wasn't going to ask Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, you should have just shot your shot. But, it's normally a quarterback v quarterback play. They do the media thing afterwards. But, yeah, mate, hey, he's coming to Melbourne, so you might be able to still get his jersey, sign it, talk about that story. They should get you up there if they haven't already organised that. Well, mate, that is all I've got for you on Only Sport. We appreciate your time, your stories. Like anyone, if you want a pair of RIXX online, go to rixxeyewear.com.au and use the discount code ACES. Again, shout out.
How are the Aces going?
Yeah, everything's going well, mate. We got big shows.
How's the fantasy going?
No. We won't talk about my year. We won't talk about your year either because you're creaming everyone. That's why he's the man. He's not just on TV for no reason. What have you been at the top of the charts for the last 3 years running, I reckon. So hopefully you can finish the job. But mate, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. To everyone listening and tuning in, we hope you had a safe and happy new year. Again, shout out to our friends at Pilot. Lads, if you need some help playing to the final whistle, you know where to go, pilot.com.au. Check it out. I reckon BG will be on there after this episode. That's all I've got for you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Only Sport. One more time because I really mean it. I just want to say a massive thank you for all the support you continue to give us at the Ausmerican Aces. If you want to further support us, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the follow button so you can keep up to date with all our exciting shows and announcements. Righto, now it's time to give our sponsors a massive plug. Struggling to make it to third base before striking out? Wood not driving like it used to? Let me guess, tackle's gone a little bit soft? No stress. If you're having issues in the bedroom, like erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation, Australia's favourite men's healthcare provider, Pilot, has all the clinical tools you need to get your game back on track. Thousands of Aussie men come to Pilot to get simple, discreet and clinical treatments online. Pilot has free shipping, auto refills and free follow-ups over text with practitioners. Get started today at pilot.com.au and remember, play hard until the final whistle with Pilot. Aces, I know I always talk about the RIXXs, but I gotta offer you the discount again in case you've forgotten or in case you're sleeping under a rock. We have a special discount code for everyone that listens to this podcast or watch the podcast. It's ACES. Head online to rixxeyewear.com.au and use the discount code ACES and you'll get 20% off. That's right, 20% off, 1/5 at checkout and free express shipping. So head online, rixxeyewear.com.au and check it out.